The earth doesn't stop shaking. That's what people don't understand when you tell them about the artillery. They think of explosions, sure. They think of noise and fire and shrapnel. But they don't understand what it's like when the ground beneath you, solid ground, the one thing you should be able to count on, when it turns liquid. When it shakes so hard and so long that you can't tell if it's the shells or an earthquake or the whole world coming apart. 7 years. It's been 7 years since Con Thien. Since the Hill of Angels, though there weren't any angels up there. Just Marines and NVA and enough artillery to flatten the whole DMZ. Some nights I still feel it, the shaking, like the earth remembers too. My name is Danny Martinez, Lance Corporal, United States Marine Corps, 3rd Battalion, 4th Marines. I was 19 years old when I got to Con Thien in September 1967. 19 and stupid enough to think I knew what combat was. I'd been in country for 4 months by then, thought I was a veteran, thought I'd seen some shit. I hadn't seen anything yet. I grew up in East L.A., Boyle Heights. Mexican neighborhood, mostly poor, mostly hard-working people trying to get by. My old man worked construction when he could get it. My mom cleaned houses, 5 kids in a 2-bedroom apartment. We didn't have much, but we had each other. I was the oldest, dropped out of high school in 10th grade to work, help support the family. Odd jobs, mostly. Warehouse work, janitorial, whatever paid. Wasn't going anywhere, wasn't doing anything. Then I turned 18 and got my draft notice, February 1967. Could have run. A lot of guys from my neighborhood did. Went to Canada, claimed conscientious objector status, got creative with medical exemptions. Can't blame them. It was a shit war and everyone knew it. But I didn't run. Not because I was brave or patriotic or believed in the war. I went because my old man had served in World War II, because my uncle had died in Korea, because in my family, when your country called, you answered. Simple as that. Stupid as that. Boot camp at Camp Pendleton. They shaved our heads, screamed at us, broke us down, and built us back up as Marines. 13 weeks of hell. Push-ups in the sand, forced marches in the heat, rifle drills until your arms felt like they'd fall off. But you got through it. Everyone got through it. Because the alternative was failing, and Marines don't fail. Infantry training school, learning the trade, how to patrol, how to set up ambushes, how to read terrain, how to kill. They were preparing us for Vietnam. Everyone knew where we were going. They'd show us films. Combat footage from earlier in the war. Guys getting hit, firefights in the jungle, helicopters going down. Trying to prepare us. Trying to show us what we'd face. Couldn't prepare us. Not really. But they tried. I shipped out in May 1967. Flew from Travis to Okinawa to Da Nang. That same feeling as the other guys probably had. Stepping off the plane into heat and humidity and the smell of a country at war. They assigned me to 3rd Battalion, 4th Marines. India Company. Good unit, good Marines. Our company commander was Captain Slocum, a Mustang officer who'd come up through the ranks. Tough but fair. Our platoon commander was Lieutenant Bradford, fresh from the basic school, eager and green. My squad leader was Corporal Hayes from Alabama. Quiet guy, knew his job, didn't waste words. Our fire team leader was Lance Corporal Rodriguez from Texas. No relation, but we joked about it. 2 Mexicans in the same fire team. The rest of the squad was the usual mix. White guys, black guys, Hispanics, city kids, country kids, rich kids, poor kids. Didn't matter. We were all Marines, all grunts, all in the shit together. My first few months were up around Dong Ha near the DMZ, search and destroy operations, patrol work, occasional contact with the NVA, small stuff mostly. A firefight here, an ambush there. Lost a couple guys, but nothing catastrophic. Enough to get me blooded. Enough to teach me the basics. Enough to make me think I understood combat. Then they told us we were going to Con Thien. The briefing was short. Captain Slocum gathered the company, pointed to a map. Con Thien is a fire base about 2 miles south of the DMZ. It's been under artillery attack for weeks. North Vietnamese have artillery and rockets in the DMZ across the Ben Hai River. They're using it to shell our positions. Our job is to hold the base, maintain the perimeter, and keep Charlie from overrunning it. Made it sound simple. Made it sound like a standard defensive position. Just dig in and hold. We'd done that before. How bad's the artillery? Someone asked. Slocum paused. Bad. They're dropping several hundred rounds a day, sometimes more. You'll be living in bunkers. Won't be able to move during daylight without taking fire. Several hundred rounds a day. I tried to imagine that. Couldn't. Didn't have a frame of reference. How long are we up there? Hayes asked. Rotation's supposed to be 2 weeks, but it depends on the tactical situation. 2 weeks, 14 days. Didn't sound so bad. We could handle anything for 2 weeks. That's what I thought anyway. We choppered in September 17th, 1967. Flew up from Dong Ha in CH-46, coming in low and fast. The pilots didn't want to hang around. Con Thien was a hot LZ. They'd drop us and get out quick. As we approached, I could see it. The hill. Didn't look like much from the air. Just a red dirt hill, maybe 160 meters high, with bunkers and trenches dug into it. Barren. No trees, no vegetation. Just dirt and sandbags and marines and shell craters everywhere. The whole hill was pockmarked with them, overlapping, some fresh, some old. The ground looked like the surface of the moon. We landed hard. Go! 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 The crew chief was screaming. We bailed out, keeping low, running for the nearest trench. The helicopter was already lifting off before the last man cleared the ramp. Welcome to Con Thien. A gunny was waiting for us in the trench, dirt-caked, eyes red-rimmed, looking like he hadn't slept in days. Probably hadn't. India Company. Yes, gunny. Follow me. I'll show you to your positions. We followed him through the trenches. They were narrow, deep, sandbagged. Every 50 feet there was a bunker, reinforced fighting positions covered with sandbags and timber. Some Marines were in them, looking out at the surrounding terrain with dead eyes. This is your sector, the gunny said, pointing to a section of trench line. Your bunker's here. Get your gear stowed. Settle in. When does the shelling usually... Rodriguez started. That's when the first rounds came in. No warning, no build-up. Just suddenly the world was exploding. Huge detonations, one after another. The ground shook. Dirt and debris rained down. My ears felt like they'd burst. I hit the ground, covering my head. Around me, the other new guys were doing the same. The Marines who'd been there longer, they just ducked into the bunkers, almost casual about it. Like this was routine. It lasted maybe 5 minutes. Then silence, except for the ringing in my ears. I looked up. The gunny was still standing there, smoking a cigarette. He hadn't even flinched. Welcome to Con Thien, he said. That's light. Wait till they really get going. He wasn't joking. The shelling came in waves. Sometimes it would be quiet for an hour, sometimes for just 10 minutes. Then it would start again. 130 millimeter artillery, 122 millimeter rockets, 140 millimeter rockets, mortars. The NVA had dug in north of the DMZ, and they were systematically trying to pound us into dust. That first day, I counted the impacts. Stopped after 100. Lost track. Just sat in the bunker, feeling the explosions, feeling the earth shake. Our bunker was basic. Hole in the ground, maybe 6 feet deep, reinforced with sandbags and timber on top. 6 of us crammed inside. Me, Rodriguez, Hayes, and 3 other guys from the squad. Our gear, our weapons, our lives compressed into a space barely big enough to lie down in. We took turns on watch, 2-hour shifts, scanning the perimeter through the firing slit, watching for ground attack. The rest tried to sleep, tried to eat, tried to stay sane. Sleeping was impossible. Even when the shelling stopped, you couldn't relax. You'd lie there, tense, waiting for the next salvo. And when it came, and it always came, the concussion would slam through the bunker, shake your teeth, rattle your brain. After the first 24 hours, I understood why the Marines we'd replaced looked like ghosts. This wasn't combat. This was siege warfare. This was sitting in a hole while the enemy tried to bury you alive. How long has this been going on? I asked Hayes during a lull. For Con Thien? Couple months. Got real bad in July. They're trying to overrun us. Part of some bigger offensive. Can they? Rodriguez asked. Overrun us? Hayes looked at him. They can try. We got artillery, air support, the whole 9 yards. But if they come with enough men at night during heavy shelling, he shrugged. Anything's possible. That was comforting. September 19th. The shelling intensified. Not just random harassment fire, coordinated barrages. They'd hit one section of the perimeter, then another, working their way around, testing our defenses, looking for weak spots. Between salvos, we'd try to repair the trenches, fill in the shell craters, rebuild collapsed bunker roofs, string new wire where the explosions had torn it down. Dangerous work. You never knew when the next salvo would come in. Lost our first guy on the 20th. Kid named Peterson. New guy like me. He was moving between bunkers during a lull, carrying sandbags. The shells came in. He was caught in the open. Direct hit. Nothing left but pieces. I didn't know him well, but he'd been in my platoon, had been alive that morning. Now he wasn't. That's when it really hit me. This wasn't like the firefights we'd been in. In a firefight, you could shoot back, could take cover, maneuver, fight. Here, all you could do was sit in your hole and hope the next round didn't have your name on it. Pure chance, pure luck. Nothing you could do about it. The routine became clear. Spend your time in the bunker. Sleep when you could. Brief, fitful naps between barrages. Eat sea rations cold because you couldn't light a heat tab without drawing fire. Piss in bottles because going to the latrine meant exposing yourself to the shelling. Live like animals, like rats in holes. The dust was everywhere. Red laterite dust from the hill, kicked up by the explosions, hanging in the air constantly. You'd breathe it, taste it, feel it grating between your teeth. Your clothes were stiff with it. Your skin was caked with it. You'd try to wipe your face and just smear it around. And the smell. Cordite from the explosions. Unwashed bodies. We hadn't showered in days. The latrines. The bodies they hadn't recovered yet. Everything mixed together in the heat. September 22nd. Night attack. We'd been expecting it. Knew the NVA wouldn't just shell us forever. Eventually they'd come. Try to take the hill. It started around midnight. Heavy shelling, heavier than usual. Lasted for an hour. We huddled in the bunker, helmets on, flak jackets on, waiting for it to stop. Then the word came down. Stand to. Ground attack inbound. We grabbed our weapons, moved to the firing positions, peered out into the darkness. The shelling had stopped, but the smoke and dust made visibility near zero. Flares went up. Parachute flares dropped by artillery, turning the night into eerie daylight. And there they were. NVA soldiers, moving through the wire, cutting through it, advancing on our positions. Fire, fire, Hayes was shouting. We opened up. M16S, M60 machine guns, M79 grenade launchers. The whole perimeter lit up. Tracers streaking into the darkness. The enemy fire coming back. AK-47s, RPGs, mortars. I fired at shapes, at muzzle flashes, at anything that moved. Couldn't tell if I was hitting anything, just firing, reloading, firing again. An RPG hit near our bunker. The explosion was so close I felt the heat. Shrapnel pinged off the sandbags. Someone was screaming, hit, wounded. Doc was moving through the trench, trying to get to him. The attack came in waves. They'd hit one section, pull back, hit another section. Probing, testing, looking for a breakthrough. Our artillery was firing constantly. Defensive fires all around the perimeter. So close the rounds were passing overhead with that freight train sound, landing just outside the wire. We'd called a firewall, a ring of artillery explosions around the entire base. Nothing got through that. Nothing could. The attack broke. After maybe 2 hours, they pulled back, left their dead in the wire, disappeared into the darkness. We'd held. Barely. But we'd held. Dawn came. We could see the results. NVA bodies tangled in the wire. Blood trails leading back toward the DMZ. Our own casualties being loaded onto medevac helicopters. I sat in the trench, hands shaking, running on adrenaline and fear. Rodriguez was next to me, looking the same way. "We did it," he said. "We held them." "Yeah," I said. "We did." But I knew what he was thinking, what I was thinking. They'd be back. Tonight, tomorrow night, whenever. They'd keep coming. And eventually, maybe, they'd break through. That was the thought you couldn't escape. That your luck would run out. That the next attack, the next barrage, the next shell would be the one that got you. The shelling after that night was worse. Like the NVA were angry we'd held them off. Like they wanted to punish us. September 24th. Over 1,200 rounds hit Con Thien. 1,200. That's what the counter-battery radar counted. Might have been more. They lost count during some of the heavy barrages. You can't understand what that's like. Can't imagine it unless you've been through it. It's not just the explosions, though those are bad enough. It's the relentlessness, the never-ending nature of it. 5 minutes of bombardment, 2 minutes of quiet, 10 minutes of bombardment, 30 seconds of quiet, 3 hours of bombardment. You couldn't predict it, couldn't prepare for it, just had to endure it. The bunker became our world. 6 men in a hole 8 feet by 6 feet. You'd sit there, backs against the dirt walls, feeling every impact through the earth. Big ones would make the timber roof creak, send dirt trickling down. You'd look up, wondering if this was the one that would collapse it, bury you alive. Some bunkers did collapse. We'd hear it during the shelling, a different sound, a kind of crump followed by screaming. Then Marines would be digging frantically, trying to get to the guys trapped inside. Sometimes they'd get them out, sometimes not. We lost Hayes on September 26th. Not to a collapse, to shrapnel. He'd been moving between positions during a lull, checking on the squad. The next barrage came in early. He tried to make it to a bunker. Almost made it. The shell landed close, not a direct hit. He might have survived a direct hit if he'd been in cover, but he was in the open. The shrapnel took him apart. I saw it happen. Was in my bunker 20 feet away, saw him go down, saw the blood. Doc went out, dragged him to cover, tried to work on him. But Hayes was already gone, bled out in less than a minute. We'd have to get a new squad leader, someone to replace Hayes. Like he was just a position to be filled, not a person. Not a Marine who'd been with us for months. Not a guy who knew his job, who looked out for his men. Just gone. A body bag on the next helicopter out. Rodriguez took it hard. He and Hayes had been tight. That night, in the bunker, I heard him crying. Quiet, trying to hide it. But I heard. I didn't say anything. What could I say? We were all breaking down. All coming apart. It was just a matter of time. The corpsman, Doc Bennett, was working miracles. Moving through the trenches during barrages, treating wounded, dragging men to safety. He should have been hit a dozen times. Somehow he wasn't. But you could see it wearing on him, the constant casualties, the guys he couldn't save, the choices he had to make, who to treat first, who could wait, who was too far gone. "How do you do it, Doc?" I asked him once during a quiet moment. "Do what?" "Keep going. Keep trying, when so many of them die anyway." He looked at me. 22 years old, but his eyes looked ancient. "Because some of them live. Because if I don't try, they all die. That's how." Simple answer. But it was enough to keep him moving, keep him fighting to save lives while the artillery tried to take them. September 27th. A shell hit the aid station, the bunker where Doc kept his supplies, where he treated the worst casualties before they could be medivaxed. 4 wounded Marines inside. Doc was with them. The shell came through the roof. The whole structure collapsed. We dug for 3 hours, got 2 out alive, 2 dead, including a kid who'd been hit that morning who would have made it if the aid station hadn't been hit. Doc survived. Broken arm, concussion, but alive. They wanted to medevac him. He refused. Said he was staying. "There's nobody else, sir," he told the company commander. "You medevac me, there's no corpsman. These guys need me." So he stayed. Kept working with a broken arm. Kept trying to save lives. That's what Marines did up there. Kept fighting when any sane person would have given up. But we weren't sane anymore. Not after weeks of this. You don't stay sane when the ground beneath you won't stop shaking, when death comes randomly from the sky, when your friends disappear in explosions and you can't do anything about it. We stopped talking much. What was there to say? We'd sit in the bunker between barrages, staring at nothing, smoking, eating, existing. Sleep deprivation was breaking us. You couldn't sleep more than 30 minutes at a time before the shelling started again. Your body would be exhausted, but your mind would be wired, waiting for the next impact. After a week of that, you started seeing things, hearing things. I'd hallucinate sometimes. Think I heard someone calling my name. Think I saw movement outside the bunker. Snap awake from dreams that were more real than reality. Rodriguez was worse. He'd talk to Hayes sometimes. Full conversations with a dead man. The rest of us would just listen, not saying anything. What would be the point? October came. We'd been on the hill for 2 weeks. Our rotation should have been over. But they couldn't spare anyone to relieve us. The whole DMZ was exploding. Con Thien, Jiolin, Dong Ha. Every firebase was getting hit. There were no replacement units. So we stayed. Day after day. Week after week. Living in holes. Eating dirt. Waiting to die. The monsoon started. Rain came down in sheets. The trenches filled with water. The bunkers flooded. We'd sit in ankle-deep mud, cold and wet, while the shells kept falling. The rain didn't stop the artillery. If anything, it made it worse. The NVA knew we couldn't move around, couldn't repair damage, couldn't do anything but huddle in our holes. October 4th, 3 weeks on the hill. I'd lost track of the days, but someone told me it was October 4th. We lost Rodriguez that day. Not to artillery, to his own rifle. I was in the bunker with him. We'd just finished Stand 2, Dawn Alert, making sure the NVA weren't going to hit us at first light. The shelling had been light that morning, almost a relief. Rodriguez was sitting against the wall, cleaning his rifle. Standard maintenance. Something to do. Something to keep your hands busy. "Hey, Danny," he said. "Yeah? You think we're getting out of here?" "Sure. Eventually. They'll rotate us out." "When?" "I don't know. Soon, maybe." He was quiet for a moment. Then, "I don't think I can do this anymore." "Do what?" "This. Waiting. Waiting for the shell that gets me. It's coming. You know it's coming. Every day we're here, the odds get worse. Rodriguez dash dash. It's just math, man. Probability. They're firing hundreds of rounds at us every day. Sooner or later, one of them has my name on it. Yours too. All of us. We're going to make it, I said. Not believing it, but saying it anyway. He looked at me, and I saw it in his eyes. He'd given up. Decided he was going to die. Was just waiting for it. Tell my family I didn't suffer, he said. Then he put the rifle in his mouth and pulled the trigger. The sound in the bunker was deafening. The back of his head was gone. Blood and brain matter everywhere. I sat there, covered in his blood, staring at what was left of my friend. Couldn't process it. Couldn't understand it. Someone was screaming. Realized it was me. Doc came. Looked at Rodriguez. Looked at me. Jesus Christ. They pulled me out of the bunker. Sat me in the trench. Someone was asking me questions. What happened? Did I see it? Was it an accident? He killed himself, I said. He couldn't take it anymore. They wrote it up as accidental discharge. Cleaning his weapon, it went off. That's what the report said. That's what they told his family. But I knew. I was there. He'd chosen it. Chosen to end it on his terms rather than wait for a random shell to do it. Can't say I blamed him. They put me on light duty after Rodriguez. Said I needed time to recover. Like you could recover from watching your friend blow his brains out. Like a day or two would fix that. But I didn't want light duty. Didn't want to sit around thinking about it. So I went back to my position. Back to the bunker where it happened. Someone had cleaned it up, washed out the blood, scrubbed the walls. But I could still see it. Still see Rodriguez sitting there. Still hear the shot. We got a replacement. A lance corporal named Wilson from Ohio. Fresh to the hill. Eyes still bright. Still thought he'd survive this. Give him a week. He'd lose that look. Everyone did. October became a blur. Days blended together. Morning stand to, daytime shelling, night attacks, midnight shelling. Over and over. No variation, no relief. The NVA were determined. They hit us October 8th. Another ground attack. Came in from the west during a heavy barrage, using the smoke and dust for cover. Made it to the wire before our artillery broke them up. We lost 6 Marines that night. Killed or wounded. The wounded got medevaced if the helicopters could get in. Sometimes they couldn't. Weather too bad, fire too heavy. Then the wounded would sit in bunkers, bleeding, waiting, sometimes for hours. Doc did what he could, but with a broken arm and no supplies, the aid station had been destroyed, remember. He was limited. Bandages, morphine, prayer. That's all he had. October 12th, a month on the hill. 30 days in hell. Captain Slocum called us together. What was left of us, maybe half the company still combat effective. The rest were casualties, medevaced out, or like Rodriguez, checked out in other ways. I know this has been rough, he said. That might have been the understatement of the war. But you Marines are doing an incredible job. You're holding the line. You're keeping the NVA from breaking through. Command knows it. I know it. You should be proud. Proud. I looked around at the other Marines. Hollow eyes. 1,000-yard stares. Guys who hadn't smiled in weeks. Proud wasn't what we were feeling. How much longer, sir? Someone asked. How much longer are we up here? Slocum hesitated. I don't know, as long as it takes, but I promise you, we will get through this. We're Marines. We don't quit. We didn't quit. That's what kept us going. Not pride, not patriotism, not belief in the mission. Just that one thing. Marines don't quit. We endure. We suffer. We die if we have to. But we don't quit. The shelling continued every day, sometimes heavy, sometimes light. The NVA had an inexhaustible supply of ammunition. They'd shoot at us all day, all night. Didn't matter. They had guns in the DMZ, had supply lines from North Vietnam, could keep this up forever. We couldn't. We were running out of men, running out of sanity. But we stayed because that's what we did. October 15th. Air Force hit the NVA positions across the DMZ. B-52 strikes, arc light missions. We could see the explosions from Con Thien, massive detonations walking across the landscape. The ground shook from that too, different than artillery, deeper, more sustained. The shelling decreased after that. Not by much, but noticeable. Maybe we'd hurt them. Maybe we'd destroyed some of their guns. Or maybe they were just conserving ammunition. Didn't matter. Any reduction was a gift. October 18th. Word came down. We were being rotated off the hill. India Company was done. Another unit was coming to relieve us. I couldn't believe it. After 5 weeks, we were leaving, getting out, going back to the world, or at least back to the rear. The relief arrived October 20th. Fresh Marines, clean uniforms, nervous energy. They choppered in during a quiet period. We showed them the positions, the bunkers, the trenches, told them what to expect. "How bad is it?" one of them asked me. I looked at him. Couldn't have been more than 18, scared, but trying to hide it. "Bad," I said. "Worse than bad. Just keep your head down. Don't take chances. Don't be a hero. Maybe you'll make it." He nodded. Still didn't understand. Couldn't understand until he lived it. We loaded onto the helicopters. 40 Marines had come up 5 weeks ago. 23 were leaving. The rest were dead, wounded, or broken. The helicopter lifted off. I looked down at Con Thien, the hill that had been our entire world for 5 weeks, cratered, scarred, pockmarked with shell holes, a piece of hell on earth. As we flew away, I could see the shells still falling. The NVA were welcoming the new guys, showing them what they were in for. I didn't envy them, but I was glad it wasn't me anymore. We landed at Dong Ha. They processed us, fed us hot food, gave us showers, actual showers, hot water, soap, felt like a luxury resort. I stood under that water for 30 minutes, watching the dirt wash off, watching the red dust of Con Thien spiral down the drain, washing away 5 weeks of filth and fear and death. But it didn't wash off, not really. The dirt came off, but the rest stayed. The shaking, the fear, the memory of Rodriguez, of Hayes, of all of them, that stayed. They gave us a week in the rear. Rest and relaxation, they called it. Time to recover before going back to the field. But I couldn't rest, couldn't relax. Every sudden noise made me flinch. Every helicopter overhead made me want to dive for cover. At night, I'd lie in my rack and feel the earth shaking even though it wasn't. The other guys were the same. We'd sit around, not talking much, just smoking, staring, trying to process what we'd been through, trying to figure out how to be normal again. But we weren't normal. We'd never be normal again. Doc Bennett, they'd finally medevaced him after we came down from the hill. I went to visit him at the hospital. His arm was casted. He looked like hell, but he was alive. "How you doing, Doc?" "Good. Arm's healing. Should be back with the company in a few weeks." "You're going back?" "Yeah, why wouldn't I? After all that? After what happened up there?" He looked at me. "What else would I do? Stay in the rear? Those are my Marines, my brothers. They need me." That's what Marines did. Didn't matter what you'd been through. Didn't matter how broken you were. You went back. You took care of your brothers. But I wasn't sure I could. Wasn't sure I could go through that again. November 1967. They sent us back to the field. Not to Con Thien, thank God, but to operations south of the DMZ. Patrols, sweeps, the usual grunt work. It should have been easier. Compared to Con Thien, everything was easier. But I couldn't focus, couldn't concentrate. Every time we stopped, I'd start digging, making a fighting position, going deeper and deeper like I was trying to dig all the way back to the world. Martinez, what are you doing? The new squad leader, a corporal named Thompson, was looking at me. Digging in. We're just taking a 10-minute break. We're not setting up a position. But I couldn't stop. Had to dig, had to have cover, because the shells could come any second. Any second now, the world would start exploding, and I needed to be underground. Martinez! Thompson grabbed my arm. Stop. We're not at Con Thien. There's no artillery here. I looked at him. Knew he was right. Knew I was acting crazy. But I couldn't stop the fear. Couldn't stop feeling like the next shell was coming. They sent me to see the battalion chaplain. You're showing signs of combat fatigue, he said. It's normal after what you've been through. What you need is time. How much time? As long as it takes. Keep talking to me. To your buddies. Don't bottle it up. But how could I not bottle it up? How could I explain what it was like? The constant terror, the helplessness, watching Rodriguez kill himself because he couldn't take another day of it. I tried to keep going, tried to do my job, but I was checking out, mentally, emotionally, just going through the motions. December 1967, 3 months since Con Thien. I was on patrol when it happened. We took fire from a tree line. Standard stuff. A few AK rounds, not a major contact. Everyone hit the ground, returned fire. Textbook response. But I froze. Just froze. Couldn't move, couldn't shoot, couldn't think. I was back on the hill, hearing the shells, feeling the earth shake. Rodriguez was next to me. Hayes was dying in the trench. Doc was screaming for morphine. Thompson was yelling at me, Martinez, return fire! I couldn't. Just lay there, paralyzed. Another Marine, Wilson, the replacement we'd gotten at Con Thien, he covered my sector, laid down suppressing fire while I lay there useless. The firefight ended. The NVA pulled back. We were okay. Everyone was okay, except me. I wasn't okay. Thompson pulled me aside after. What happened back there? I don't know. I couldn't. You froze in combat. That's dangerous, Martinez. Dangerous for you. Dangerous for the squad. I know. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't cut it. I'm recommending you for medical evaluation. You need help. They pulled me offline, sent me to the battalion aid station for psych evaluation. The doctor talked to me for an hour, asked about Con Thien, about Rodriguez, about what I was feeling. You have what we're calling post-traumatic stress disorder, he said. Your mind experienced extreme trauma, and it's having trouble processing it. You're experiencing flashbacks, hypervigilance, anxiety. It's treatable, but you can't stay in a combat unit. What happens to me? We'll assign you to the rear, non-combat duties. Give you time to heal. Rear duty. Safety away from the fighting. I should have been relieved. Should have been grateful. But all I felt was shame. I'd broken. Failed. Let my brothers down. They sent me to Da Nang, assigned me to supply, warehouse work, loading and unloading equipment, safe work, easy work. I hated it. Hated being there while other Marines were still fighting. Hated feeling like a coward. Hated myself. But I couldn't go back. Couldn't function in combat. Couldn't trust myself not to freeze again. So I stayed in the rear. Did my job. Counted the days until my rotation was up. January 1968. The Tet Offensive hit. The whole country exploded. Da Nang got hit hard. Sappers breached the base perimeter. Rockets rained down. It was chaos. Even in the rear, even in safety, the war found us. I spent that night in a fighting position, rifle up, waiting for the attack. And I did okay. Didn't freeze, didn't panic. Because it wasn't Con Thien, wasn't the endless artillery, wasn't that specific hell, but it didn't matter. They weren't sending me back to the field. I was done as an infantryman. February 1968, my rotation was up. 13 months in Vietnam. Time to go home. They flew me to Okinawa for out-processing, then to Travis Air Force Base, then home to L.A. I should have been happy. I'd survived, made it through, was going home in one piece, but I didn't feel happy, didn't feel anything, just empty, hollow. I'd left part of myself on that hill, the part that could feel, could hope, could believe in anything. That part died with Rodriguez, with Hayes, with all the Marines who didn't make it off Con Thien. What came home was just a shell, something wearing Danny Martinez's face, pretending to be alive. It's been 6 years now. 6 years since Con Thien. 6 years since I came home from Vietnam. I'm 25 years old, should be in my prime, should be building a life, starting a career, maybe getting married. Normal 25-year-old stuff. But I'm not normal. Haven't been since September 1967. When I got back to L.A. in February 68, my family threw a welcome home party. Friends, relatives, neighbors, everyone happy to see me. Proud that I'd served. Grateful I'd come home safe. I couldn't tell them I hadn't come home safe. That Danny Martinez, the kid who'd left in 67, he didn't come home. He died on Con Thien. What walked off that plane was something else. I tried to readjust. Got a job at a warehouse, same kind of work I'd done in Da Nang, just civilian now. Moved back in with my parents, tried to be part of the family again, but I couldn't sleep. The nightmares were constant. Every night I was back on the hill, feeling the ground shake, hearing the shells whistle in, watching Rodriguez put the rifle in his mouth. I'd wake up screaming. My brothers would hear me through the walls. My mother would come in, try to comfort me. But how could she comfort me? She hadn't been there, didn't understand. Nobody understood. I started drinking, not heavily at first, just enough to dull the edges, help me sleep. But it escalated. By summer of 68, I was drinking every night, sometimes during the day, whatever it took to stop thinking about it. Lost the warehouse job in September. Showed up drunk one too many times. My supervisor, a vet himself, Korea, he tried to help. Got me into a VA program. But I didn't stick with it. Didn't want to talk about it. Didn't want to remember. Wanted to forget. But I couldn't forget. My old man tried to talk to me. Son, you need to get your shit together. I know the war was hard. I know you saw things. But you can't let it destroy you. You don't know, I told him. You don't know what it was like. I was in the war, too. World War II. I saw combat. It's not the same. What you went through, that was a different war. A war that made sense. A war we won. Vietnam. I couldn't finish. Couldn't explain. He tried to understand. But he couldn't. His war had a purpose. His war ended in victory. His war, he came home and everyone celebrated. I came home and nobody cared. The war was still going on. We were losing. And the country had turned against us. Against the war. Against the soldiers. I got spit on once. Walking through the airport in my uniform. Some college kid spit on me. Called me a baby killer. Wanted to hit him, wanted to explain that I'd never killed babies, that I'd killed enemy soldiers who were trying to kill me, that I'd watched my brothers die, that I'd survived something he couldn't imagine. But I didn't, just walked away. Because what was the point? 1969 came, then 1970. I drifted, odd jobs here and there, living with my parents, drinking, existing. My brothers had moved on with their lives, jobs, girlfriends, normal stuff. They'd try to include me. Come out with us, Danny. Meet some girls. Have some fun. But I couldn't relate to people my age anymore. They'd talk about music and movies and politics, and all I could think about was Con Thien, about the hill, about the shaking earth. The therapists at the VA said I had PTSD, that it was common in combat veterans, that with treatment it could get better. But treatment meant talking about it, meant reliving it, meant going back to that hill in my mind. I couldn't do that, couldn't face it. So I didn't get treatment, just kept drinking, kept drifting, kept surviving. I ran into another Marine from my unit, a guy named Foster, who'd been on Con Thien with us. We recognized each other at a bar. Martinez. Yeah, Foster, right? We bought each other drinks. Didn't talk much at first, just drank. Finally, he said, "You ever think about it? The hill? Every day. Me too. Can't stop. Can't move past it." "You getting help?" He laughed, bitter. "Help? What help? VA tells me to talk about my feelings. My family tells me to get over it. Everyone wants me to forget it happened. How do I forget that?" "You don't," I said. "You just carry it." "How long? How long do we carry it?" "I don't know. Forever, maybe." We drank until the bar closed, exchanged numbers, promised to stay in touch. Never called each other. What would we say? We'd already said everything that mattered. The war was winding down, American troops pulling out. The news showed footage of bases being abandoned, equipment destroyed, Vietnamese allies left behind. All that sacrifice, all those Marines who died on Con Thien and Khe Sanh and 100 other places. For what? We were leaving, giving up, letting the North win. I watched it on TV and felt nothing. Number. It had stopped mattering years ago. The war officially ended for America. Troops came home, POWs released. It was over. But it wasn't over. Not for me. Not for Foster or any of the other guys who'd been on that hill. We were still there, still feeling the ground shake, still hearing the shells, still seeing Rodriguez and Hayes and all the others. Still there, always there. I got a letter from Doc Bennett in late '73. He'd made it through his tour, come home, gone to medical school on the GI Bill, was a resident now at a hospital in Baltimore. "I think about you guys every day," he wrote, "about Con Thien, about what we went through. I use it to motivate me. Every patient I save, I think about the ones I couldn't save on the hill. Every life I help preserve makes the war mean something." Good for him. He'd found a way to make it mean something, to turn the horror into purpose. I hadn't found that. Didn't know if I ever would. 1974 now. 6 years since I came home, still living with my parents, still working odd jobs, still drinking too much, still fighting the same battle I've been fighting since Con Thien. The nightmares haven't stopped. The shaking hasn't stopped. The weight hasn't lifted. Some days are better than others. Some days I can almost function like a normal person. Can go hours without thinking about it. Other days I can't get out of bed, can't face the world. Just lie there, feeling the earth shake, hearing the shells, waiting for it to be over. My mother worries. My father's disappointed. My brothers don't know what to do with me. They want me to get better, to move on, to be the Danny I was before the war. But that Danny's gone. Died on a hill in Vietnam, never coming back. This Danny, the one who survived, he's just trying to make it through. One day at a time, one night at a time, one memory at a time. The Marines who died on Con Thien, they're the lucky ones in a way. Their war ended. Their suffering ended. They don't have to carry this weight, don't have to fight this battle every single day. They're at peace. I'm still fighting. Sometimes I wonder if Rodriguez had the right idea, if he was braver than the rest of us, brave enough to end it on his terms. But I'm still here, still surviving, not living, just surviving. But maybe that's enough. Maybe survival is all any of us can hope for. The earth doesn't stop shaking. Even now, 7 years later, I feel it. In the floorboards of my room, in the ground when I walk, in my bones. It's always there, the memory of that hill, of those 5 weeks, of what we endured. And it always will be. I never left Con Thien. None of us did. We're all still there in our bunkers, waiting for the next barrage, waiting for the ground to stop shaking, waiting for peace that never comes. The siege ended in October 1967. For everyone else, for history, for the reports and the statistics and the official record. But for me, the siege never ended. I'm still under fire, still holding the line, still trying to survive, still there. Always there, on the Hill of Angels where there were no angels, just Marines, just men, just boys trying to survive hell on earth. And we did survive, some of us. Our bodies made it home, but our souls stayed there, buried in the red dirt, scattered by the shells, lost in the shaking earth. We never came home. We're still on that hill, still holding, still enduring, still fighting a battle that ended 7 years ago but will never really end. Not for us, not ever.